Started off with Kevin Kinder.
Coach, it seemed like right from the outset, your team was really trying to get the enthusiasm up, get in the game. A lot of chatter in the dugout, a lot of support. Was that a focus, kind of a pregame emphasis, try to get going early on?
It wasn't anything that we spoke about. I think the kids were really excited to start conference. I feel like they believed it was a little bit of a fresh start and a new beginning with a new record. But they definitely brought energy, and we always talk about energy is usually, given by that starting pitcher. Wolf went out and set the tone really early, so it was easy to get excited. There was quick outs. The tempo was great. It was pretty easy to have some momentum behind him.
We'll go to you, Stan.
Coach, congrats on the win. Obviously you had the couple of homers, you had a couple of big hits there, but in the sixth inning, it kind of looked like you guys put them away, playing a little bit of small ball, having Austin steal second, and obviously Tyler got the ground rule double. But what, generally speaking, WVU has been one of the more prolific stealing teams in the Big 12. It hasn't quite been that much this season, but what importance is like the base running, the stealing aspect? How does that factor into your offense?
It's huge, and that's really what our team's built on. We have 3 or 4 kids that were in the lineup today that are premium base stealers. They're not fast kids. They're some of the fastest kids in the country. And so we just haven't been able to use that weapon enough because there's been a lot of runs given up early. And so it's just harder to run our offense how we want to if it's a 5-0 game and we're trailing in the second. You can't give away outs as much on the bases. You have to take a few less risks, but we need to play our game. That's kind of what I've learned over the last couple of weeks. You just got to play our game, and that's speed and aggression and running the offensive unit aggressively. And we were able to do that early. We were able to steal bases, hit and run, bunt. And part of it is getting the momentum going, having some success. All those kids, they just want to be part of the win. They want to do something valuable for the team. So sometimes by putting on some offensive plays, they feel like they're in the action. They're contributing to the team. It's we've trailed in some games, so it feels like we're waiting around for that double to score 2 or that 3-run homer, and it hasn't really come. And so I think you got the right feel as far as we were able to open up the offense a little bit today.
Cody Nesper.
So, Coach, with Jackson tonight, just what was working for him so well? And then how important was it for him to pitch deep into this one?
We needed that really badly. I don't know the exact stat, but I think that was our first or second quality start of the year. We're 17 games in. I don't think we've had a starter go 6 innings. And so that was a really, really great start for us, especially you have a doubleheader tomorrow. So to be able to save some bullpen arms and keep some of your best relievers fresh for tomorrow, that's massive. But more than anything, it was just setting the tone. We've been hit around early, and we've trailed in a lot of games. And so we needed somebody to step in and kind of put a stop to that. And Jackson was dominant today. He was still up to 94 in the 6th inning. He was commanding his fastball in and out. His slider was spectacular. His presence was felt. It felt like he was going to be able to beat whoever stepped to the plate with multiple pitches. And so it was massive. Our team needed it. At the end of the day, you have to have a few starters that win 9 or 10 games if you're going to be a really good team. And so we had to start doing that. And so today was a really good step forward.
Kevin, go ahead.
Which I know you're not going to use player absences as an excuse, but this seems like the first game where you probably had the batting order in place that you thought you might at the start of the year. Is that a little bit of a relief and, a little bit more of a, hey, now we've got the pieces in place where we think we can be successful?
Yeah, it's always delicate trying to balance that with the kids between stay confident and we have more players coming back and now we're healthy and not giving somebody an excuse to not be great. And so it's very delicate, but I think that was a little bit of the rallying cry over the last week. Hang tight, trust it, man. It's coming. We're going to be a full team together again. We're going to get going. All those kind of things felt like was being said a lot through the staff and the players. And so delicate, but obviously important. It's a hard game, and college baseball is tough, and there's really great teams. And so when you're down some players and down some good players, it's not as easy. And so certainly felt good when you look down the lineup and you have a guy like Mikey Kluska that has really led our team offensively in the 7-hole. You're going, this feels a little bit better when Mikey's down there, instead of putting a freshman in the 4-hole and just saying, we have to, you've been doing the best. This is our only option, is for you to be right in the middle, and we're going to live and die with a true freshman out there. He's been unbelievable, but it's just, you owe it to that kid to give him a little bit of a breather and put some other kids around him that have experience. And so it was a nice feeling, and I know our kids feel that as well.
Okay, we'll finish up tonight with Sam and Cody. Go ahead, Sam.
Coach, on the kind of the opposite end of the stick of Jackson, Kansas's pitchers kind of struggled a little bit out there. Looked like they kind of held on to Sear for a little bit too long, and they started going through the relievers. But is that something you kind of pay attention to? And that's the first game of the series, and they start kind of burning relievers in game one. Are you kind of looking into that, especially when you got a doubleheader tomorrow?
No doubt. So before the game, you go and you watch every single pitcher, and Coach Garcia and Coach Galuski chart every single pitcher, every single percentage, who does what, velos, picks, any advantage that we can get on every guy. And so you have a really good idea. Who's their best guy? Who's their most trusted guy? Who's their closer? And so every time somebody comes in, it's kind of like a horse race where this guy finishes strong, but if he comes in a little bit too early, or he's leading the race a little bit too early, he's not going to finish. And so you're always playing that game mentally, like, oh, this guy, they're bringing him in the 4th. There's no way he's going to make it, 2.5 or 3 innings. And so you're always playing that game in your head, like, oh, he doesn't bounce back good. This will be the first time in the last 3 weeks that he's had to go to back-to-back days if they were to bring him in tomorrow. So you're always kind of judging that, or this is more of a mop-up guy for them. They're not worried about using him because he doesn't pitch in big moments necessarily. And so, yeah, you're definitely playing that game. You're definitely trying to figure out who they're going to go to. We got to a few of their arms that were good arms that they'll most likely bring back tomorrow. And it's not always the case, but most of the time, the pitchers aren't as good the second outing on a weekend. Some kids can do it, but usually fatigue sets in a little bit. And so you want to get to the arms. You want them to have to come back for the second time. And so you definitely always are playing that game and preparing that way. And their starter tomorrow has been their best guy, kid named Larson, right-handed pitcher. I think he has 2 complete games and an 8-inning outing so far this year. And so it'll be important to try to get to him early. If you could get to the bullpen relatively quickly tomorrow, you put yourself in a really good situation.
And Cody, you can finish this up.
I just wanted to ask your philosophy about using Austin as that sort of second leadoff hitter, batting him 9th.
Yeah, he was fantastic today. It's really nice to have speed on both ends, and Dones is a really versatile offensive player, so he can hit and run and he can bunt. And so if Austin Davis does get on, now we can play our brand of baseball, which is really, really nice. Austin hasn't been getting on base as much, and so that's part of the reason we haven't been scoring as many runs, is because he struggled early. Today he had a huge game. He's been making adjustments in practice. He's working. He's one of the guys that has to be great for us to be good. But having him in the 9-hole makes you feel really comfortable, because during that time that we missed some of the players, he was hitting leadoff for us. And so you feel like you have 2 leadoffs. You feel like a guy's very stable at the bottom of the order, and then you bring it back to Dones, who can do a lot of things with the bat.
Okay, Coach. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Just